When I look back at life, I'm always reminded of a simple truth. Big achievements don't start with money, they start with a big thought. And today, I want to share the story of a boy I once met, a boy whose pockets were empty but whose dreams were larger than the sky itself. His name was Ayan. Ayan lived in a tiny village where opportunities were as rare as rain in summer. His slippers were torn, his clothes were faded, and many nights he slept with nothing but hope in his stomach. I remember watching him walk to school every morning, his steps slow, but his eyes full of determination. He didn't have much, but he had something more powerful than money. He had hunger. Not the kind hunger food can solve. This was the hunger to change his life. Every day, he passed by a big hill overlooking the village. And on top of that hill stood a massive bungalow shining white, surrounded by gardens that looked like scenes from another world. It belonged to a man named Mr. Ryan. Most people only saw the wealth. Ayan saw inspiration. One afternoon, he climbed that hill, stood at the gate of the bungalow, and whispered to himself, "Someday, I'll build something even bigger than this." People laughed. I heard them mock him. You don't even have proper shoes. You can't think so big. Look at your life." But Ayan never argued. He simply smiled and said, "Dreams only look unrealistic when your thinking becomes small." After school, Ayan worked at a tiny tea stall. The place was noisy, crowded, and sometimes unbearably hot. But instead of complaining, he used that stall as his classroom. He listened to businessmen talk about success, travelers share stories, and locals discuss problems. He was learning quietly, absorbing everything, building a mind far richer than his pockets. One evening, a man in a suit walked in. He struggled with online ordering, and Ayan, always helpful, always curious, guided him through it effortlessly. Impressed, the man asked him, "Where did you learn all this?" And Ayan replied, "When your pockets are empty, you fill your mind instead." The man smiled. What Ayan didn't know was that this man was Mr. Ryan. The next day, Ayan was invited into the bungalow he once admired from a distance. Mr. Ryan took him into a room filled with books, notebooks, and computer screens. He said something that changed Ayan's life, something that even changed mine, when he told me years later, "Money didn't make me successful. Thinking big did." Most people don't fail because they don't have money. They fail because they think too small. From that day on, I watched a transformation begin. After school and after working at the tea stall, Ayan would spend every free minute learning business skills, communication, problem solving, technology. And even though his life still looked the same from the outside, inside his mind a completely new world was being built. When he turned 18, he started a small local delivery service using nothing but borrowed bicycles and a basic mobile app he had learned to create. Once again, people laughed at him. "You start a business, it won't work. You're dreaming too high." But this time, Ayan wasn't bothered. He had learned that when people laugh at your dreams, it's usually because your dreams scare them. Slowly, his service began to grow. Shops started partnering with him, people relied on him. And within a year, he expanded into nearby towns. 3 years later, that same boy who once served tea was now providing jobs to dozens of young boys who reminded him of himself. I will never forget the day he invited me to that same hill he used to stand on as a child. But this time, he wasn't looking at someone else's bungalow. He pointed proudly to a construction site, his own company headquarters, rising from the ground. The same hill where he once had nothing but dreams now held the foundation of his success. A reporter once asked him, "What changed your life? Education, hard work, luck?" Ayan smiled and said a line I carry in my heart to this day. "Nothing changed until my thinking changed." My pockets were empty, but my mind stayed rich. Today, whenever I feel stuck, I remind myself of his journey. And I share it with you for a reason. Your circumstances don't define your future, your thinking does. You may have empty pockets, you may be struggling, you may feel lost. But as long as your mind is filled with big thoughts, your life can rise higher than you ever imagined. So think big, dream fearlessly, and believe in yourself when no one else does. Because greatness doesn't begin with money. Greatness begins with a thought inside a brave heart just like Ian's.